Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to another Die Party Drawing Board episode. I think this is our sixth one so far. We have some pretty interesting stuff to go through today. The first time that we're, I guess, revisiting a game that we've done previously on Die Party. Hopefully looking for different results this time. In case you don't know, we did a, what was it, 15, 16 episode show on Hollow Earth Expedition maybe about a year and a half ago? Longer than that, 2 years ago, something like that. And it was a pretty cool game. Very pulpy. We had Wreckage GMing that last time, and we actually had quite a bit of... let me just turn that brightness up. There we go. There we go. We had quite a bit of problems with the system. Namely, okay, so the system is fantastic. Let me just state that the system itself for Hollow Earth Expedition is fantastic. Aside from one thing, that being the dice, like the dice mechanic in the game. Basically, the game says, I remember, like this is going off my memory here. We're going to go through it and make sure that this is still the case. But if my memory serves me, it was pretty much you take any die you want. It could be D20, it could be D8, it could be D4, it could be a fucking coin. And you roll them. And evens, if an even number shows up, it's a success, and if a odd number shows up, it's a failure. And then you take all the dice that you rolled, so it's a dice pool game, and you count up all your successes and all your failures. And if your successes are higher than your opponent's successes, then you win the encounter. So essentially, you could be like a master rifleman, right? Like you could be like, I am the best with a fucking rifle you could possibly be. And the roll still feels like a 50-50, like a toss-up, basically. And that just didn't work for me. It was my major complaint of the system. Aside from that, though, the system was great. There's like traits and stuff in there. There's like character building. There's all this really cool stuff. There's a floor system, which gives you... if you play up your floors, you actually get like a currency to spend in the game to change the world or to help your dice rolls. It was a fantastic system, aside from the dice. So what I'm going to aim to do today is fix that. Now, we're going to fix that by taking a dice system that I actually enjoy, which is the old World of Darkness system, aka a D10 dice pool system with a set default success ratio, like 40%. We might make it higher depending on how it works in the actual game itself, but the idea being you got attributes, you got skills. Those two combined makes your total dice pool, and then you have to roll to get over a difficulty set by the GM, and if you get one success, it's counted as a success. Then everything else above that, like any additional successes, count as extreme successes. That's what we're going to change the system to. What we're going to do is we're going to look at Hollow Earth Expedition. We're going to make sure that there is no complications with changing the dice mechanics. Since they're both dice pool games, I don't think there's going to be a lot. If anything, it's going to make the success rate smaller, but it's going to make it feel not so terrible, I guess. I don't know. My thoughts on the World of Darkness dice system is up and down, but we're probably not going to bring over the like the crit fail system, because I don't know, that doesn't it takes away a lot from the actual game. But you know, anyway, let's take a look at the book. Now I just want to show this off. This is the actual official art for the actual game. I think it looks fantastic, but I'm pretty biased. because I don't know. I think it looks fantastic. Like when you think of Hollow Earth Expedition, do you think of dinosaurs and Indiana Jones and Nazis and oh yeah, I think it looks great. I don't know what this is. I found it in my fridge, so I'm gonna drink it. But yeah, let's get started. So the first thing we want to look at is we want to make sure that we understand a couple of things. We make sure we want to understand how the dice work from World of Darkness. So we're gonna set our understanding down on paper so that everyone is aware of what it is we're trying to do. So why am I not sheepdog? I mean, I think it's a lemon beer with 0% alcohol. Like, it was like I ordered dinner and they gave it to me additionally with my drink order, so yeah, it just tastes like that lemon beer shit, so Wait, you locked yourself out of your... I don't understand. Anyway, dice mechanics. So, new dice. Okay. D10 dice pool system. 6 default difficulty. 10s and 1s do nothing unless traits and each success over the first garner greater results. Okay, that's a pretty good system. So let's see if we can actually find in this book where it says about... Man, look at this art. Don't you just want to just be like, yes, give me this art. Alright. So the setting. Man, I can't. This game is just like... I really enjoyed my time with Hollow Earth Expedition. Like, until I had to roll dice. You know? Like, that's where the game went for me. It was like, this game is fucking awesome. And then I had to roll some dice. Setting, blah blah blah. Basically, if I run this game, it's gonna be, you know, oh my god, there's some Nazis and they're doing bad stuff, and you happen to also be doing good stuff in that space where they're doing bad stuff, and then you have to punch a Nazi in the face. That's basically it. I just also want to play Nazis, like doing the fake. Look, I mean, look, look at this picture. Like it sums up exactly what the game is gonna be. Keep scrolling. So we're fixing the 50-50 dice? Yeah. That's what we're doing so far. And the World of Darkness dice and this one actually work hand in hand, basically, because you have your primary attributes, and then you have secondary attributes, and then you have skills. And that's pretty much World of Darkness, all right? Like, there's not much more you can do that. The secondary attributes don't actually help with dice rolling mechanics either. So you take your primary attributes, and you take your skills, and you take the levels of those skills, and then you get your average per the skill. So it's actually... it's actually kind of cool. Like, it's actually kind of cool because, like, say you have, what is it? In order for someone to shoot you, they need to beat your defense, right? And your defense is your size plus your, what is it? Body plus size. Body plus dexterity minus size. So if you're like super small, for example, you'll be easier to... You'll have less defense. Because, you know, you're not as healthy as, say, a big monstrous man. Like, You've been missing RP since I'm in it. Is that actually Sheepdog? Or did he change his fucking name again? Is that what you... Oh my god, anyway. There's a bunch of, like, really cool, like, soldier classes and motivations and shit. Alright, so... Attributes, okay. Still need to find how things roll. I think we're in the right area. You're locked out of my Twitch. Yeah, I doubt it, man. I doubt it. You probably changed your name to Cat Sheep Cat 42 because you're an idiot. Oh, that's right. They had specializations in this game. So if you like gambling, you could like specialize in cheating within gambling. Oh yeah, man, I remember. Fucking hell. This game was so fucking interesting. It was crazy. What were the skills in Brawl? Now I'm interested. Now I'm interested in actually just going through this fucking system again. So you could do dirty tricks, grappling, kicking, punching, and throws, and brawling. Oh my god. Okay. My laptop broke, so you're on your phone? Damn, man, that sucks. How is Twitch phone these days? I barely watch it because my phone, my battery dies like that. Like I take it off the fucking thing and it's like, oh, someone commented on my YouTube. Open up YouTube, look at the comment, then my battery drains 30%. It's like fucking, I don't know what it is. My phone sucks. Look at all the skills, man. Look at all the fucking skills. Then you have talents. This is the cool stuff about talents, right? So you can get dodge, right? You need to have athletics 4 in order to get dodge. And you can perform dodge as a reflexive action, which means on someone else's turn, you can dodge their bullets. It's like, I don't know, the game is just like, ooh, yeah. You know? I like it. I like it. Get alertness talent, which gives you an extra 2 perception rating. So good, man. See, when it says +2 bonus to 1 roll per game session, what I'm thinking is it just adds extra dice, because that's what it does in the actual game. So, you know, adding extra dice to this WOD system doesn't make it any worse. Skill mastery. General expertise with 1 specialized skill. And then it goes into all these other stuff, right? So for example, auto fire. Your character is highly proficient at shooting fully automatic weapons. She knows how to use them to their full and deadly potential. Benefits. Your character receives a +1 bonus on all auto fire attacks. This bonus stacks with normal auto fire bonuses. You may buy this talent twice for gaining your character additional +1 auto fire bonus for a total +2. So, like, all the advances, talents and stuff, you can buy them multiple times. It's cool. Like, they have some really good stuff in this game. Exploding dice, thanks for the girth, my man. Can we just get to like... There's no like... There's no like, here's how you roll the dice in this game. I think this is still character creation. Alright, let's just skip to the rules. Here we go. Okay. The ambiguity of this system uses dice to resolve challenges and determines the success or failure, the success or failure of an action. This is done by rolling a number of dice and counting how many of them roll an even number. Each dice that rolls an even number is considered a success. The more successes rolled, the better the outcome of the action. Example: Laura rolls 5 6-sided dice and gets a 1, a 3, a 4, and a 6. Counting only the dice that rolled even numbers, she rolled 3 successes, aka 50 fucking 50. The ambiguity system does not require special dice to play. You can use dice that you already own. Each player should have about 10 dice on hand to play the game. Standard 6-sided dice work well and are easy to come by, but you can use any dice as long as they have an equal number of even and odd number sides. You can even mix and match polyhedral dice. You see what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, the whole point of a role-playing game is to determine odds. And they determine odds by, like, it's basically, like, it's so dumb. It is so dumb. It's the worst part of the game. Like, they made this amazing game. They set it in an amazing theme. And then they're just like, fuck it, man. I don't know, 50-50? Like, just flip a coin 10 times. That's what we ended up doing in the game. In Roll20, when we played it, we're just like, why don't we just have 1d2? Like, okay, I'm a rifleman. I have 6 die to roll. So I'm just going to roll 6d2 greater than 1 is a success. If you get a 1, you fail. If you get a 2, you succeed. It was stupid. It was really stupid. It was just like... That's why Roll20 makes it easier. But it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. Like, if you have a D10 and you set the DC of the dice... This is why the World of Darkness system, I want to bring it over. Because if you... Let's take 2 scenarios, okay? Let's take 2 scenarios. The first scenario is you have... 6d2 with the idea that you either succeed or fail based on a 50-50 chance. The other one is you have 6d10 and you need to get a 6 or higher on that d10 in order for that dice to count as a success. Sure, your odds of succeeding are significantly less. In fact, it's about 10% less per dice. But having said that, each dice then represents, like, your skill as a player, not like just a fucking chance dice, right? And in my eyes, it feels like a better system. Okay. For simplicity, the ambiguity assumes that players are counting even number dice as successes. Players could easily count odd number dice as successes, and the probability would be the same. No fucking shit. Oh my god, that sentence right there is exactly the same. At the Game Master's discretion, players may even allowed to call even or odds before rolling and count only those dice as successes. Why would they need to add that in? Like, why does that paragraph exist in this game?
Just so you know, you could very easily pick odd instead of even, and it would be the exact same fucking game.
Yeah, no shit. Fucking hell, man. Okay, well, now that we've assumed correctly the dice mechanics, I remembered correctly all the dice mechanics, we can go ahead and make some equations here. So I'm going to, if you give me just a second here, We are going to make some assumptions. Roll 20. We're going to see what the actual... we're going to see what the actual... like, because I'm pretty sure Roll20 has a system in mind, like a game in mind for this. So, create a new game. Die Party. Nazi Hunt. I don't know. We're not going to call it that, but you get the idea. All right. Hollow Earth Expedition. Okay. The ambiguity system. Yeah. All right. Okay, they have wound trackers and stuff. Cool. Let's create the game. Let's see what happens. This talk of dice is lewd. Yes, it is. All right, let's let's call this one sheep, cat, poop. There we go. Done. No reason. All right, so you have your archetype, motivation, style, health, wounds. Ooh, okay. All right, let's just 3, 4, 2, 2, 4, 5. Size, move 3, perception 2, initiative 2, defense 4, stun 2. Alright, and then we can add a skill. Firearms. Base 1, levels 2, rating 2. See what this roll looks like. It is just a D2 system. They're just using it. I wonder if I can talk to Chip about changing this. They just use D2 in this. Roll your charisma. Yeah, it's just a D2 system, man. Like they're just using a... It's using a D2 system. How do I add a modifier to that? Wait, why is it rolling an extra 2 there? I clicked... What the fuck? It rolled 8 dice when I clicked initiative. What does it roll in it? Hang on, let's try this out. It should roll 6 dice when it rolls body. Yeah. That's weird. Why is it doing that? Anyway, doesn't matter. We might be able to get this sheet changed so that it rolls a d6, a d10, and with greater than 6. Or we could just add a macro and just use this sheet for keeping things in line. That would probably be the easy way of doing things. Okay. Alright, so that's good. I know that works. So, let's take a look at like all the sort of nitty-gritty mechanics and see whether or not adding in this new World of Darkness system was actually going to break the game. I don't think it will, but let's take a look here. All right, so let's go through the turn order. Step 1, declare action. Describe your action. Determine the type, standard, extended, exposed, or reflexive action. Also determine the skill or attribute roll required to resolve the action. And its type, standard roll, extended roll, opposed roll, or reflex roll. Okay. Step 2, determine difficulty. The Game Master determines the rating of your character's action based on the task being attempted and the skill or attribute involved. Alright. Difficulty. Is there a difficulty in here somewhere? Okay, so page 107. Let's go to page 107. Difficulty. The difficulty of a rating of an action represents how hard it is to accomplish. No shit. Game Master determines the difficulty of a rating based on how hard the task is to perform. The difficulty rating is the number of successes required to complete any task. Any successes over this number represents a greater degree of success. Difficulty ratings for tasks normally range from 1 to 5, but exceptionally difficult tasks may have a higher rating. See, this is where the game will get different, right? In World of Darkness, you determine difficulty by the DC of the dice. So, so in order to succeed, so the math for World of Darkness is the standard difficulty starts off at 6. So you have a 40% chance by default of always succeeding if you roll 1 dice. Now, the difficulty in World of Darkness is if you take a D2 and you roll it and you get a 2, a difficulty easy rating, aka 1 success, would pass. So in order for a person to pass in a difficulty easy rating would be a D6. So how many ratings is there? Okay, there's 6. So maybe we should start the standard difficulty off at 4. So you have a 60% chance of always succeeding on a very easy task. That makes sense, right? So instead of like, all right, you need 7 successes in order to pass this, right? Or you need 3 successes in order to pass this. We could just say you have if you're rolling 6 die, you need a 4 greater than 4, and every success on there counts as, you only need 1 success in order to pass, and every success over the top counts as additional successes. So if the standard difficulty is 4, then we go up from 4 to 10, with 10 being 9 possible. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So let's go back here. New dice. All right. So the 4 is the default difficulty. Each success over the first garner greater results. Okay. So the current mathematical equation looks like XD10 greater than 4. That's what it looks like right now. Pretty simple. Like, we don't even need like a UI to make that happen, but that's fine with me. Okay. Dice pool represents the number of dice you roll and determine your character's outcome. The dice pool is calculated based on your character's appropriate skill or attribute rating for the task attempted. As a result, the size of the dice pool will vary from character to character per action. Virtually every dice you roll game will be based on a specific skill or attribute rating. The first step in calculating the dice pool is determining your character's appropriate skill and attribute rating. Skills cover most actions that your character will attempt. If your character possesses the appropriate skill for the task he is attempting, your dice pool is equal to his skill rating. If your character does not possess the appropriate skill for the task, the dice pool is equal to the base attribute, -2. Okay, he has a brawl rating of 4, so his dice pool is 4. Okay, that's something I don't remember. I thought it was attribute and skill, but it turns out it's just the skill. Attribute rolls are made for any action not applicable explicitly covered by a skill, such as when a character tries to remember in detail what she heard once, or tries to resist a poison in a system. Okay, that's interesting. Huh. So there are things that can affect dice modifier. So this is where I can remove dice. Yeah. So you remove dice here. So and circumstances. So modifiers, time, equipment, and circumstances. Or remove. Okay. So they used like see the dice get kind of fucky, right? Like look at this. Like you can get a +8 dice. I mean that makes sense when you have a team of highly trained assistants, right? But that like it's kind of funny because like you could have a team of highly trained assistants, so you get +8, but you could also be like wounded and get like a -3. Then you try and do it 2 times as fast, and you get a -4, which puts you at a +1 bonus. I don't know. The game's kind of like pulpy in that, I guess. So, oh my god, that's right, skill synergy. God damn it. If your character has one or more skill applicable to the task being attempted, she receives bonus dice to her dice pool. That's fucking insane. I can't even remember those rules. Alright, see, there's all this fucking, like, shit that just adds stuff to the game. Alright. So, what have we learned? We've learned that the dice system can easily carry over. And the difficulty can start at D4. And, yeah, higher than 4. Okay. Man, I got a fucking sore throat. That's... Oh, why does this always fucking happen? Take the average. See, this is kind of like the other part of this game that needs to be explained here. Because it's a 50-50 game, there's a mechanic in here called taking the average. If your average successes equal or exceed the difficulty rating of the task, your character succeeds without rolling any dice. Yeah, it's fucking stupid. But it also makes sense, right? So, in order to, like, not leave everything up to a 50-50 chance, if you have 12 dice, and in order to beat it, you need to have 6 or less than 6, like 4 successes, you just succeed. Because there's no point in rolling, because you just take the average. That's a fucking terrible rule, but we're gonna look into it. It's important to keep the story moving, not to get bogged down in rolling dice unnecessarily. I disagree. Nothing can slow down a game or take drama out of a story faster than rolling a handful of dice to determine if a relatively straightforward task is accomplished. If it's relatively straightforward, you just say that they fucking do it. Like, you don't need to roll everything in a game, and I don't need a fucking mechanic based in the game in order to make that determination for me. God damn it. The ambiguity rules address a problem in a special way. Taking the average. The possibility that a dice will come up success is 50-50, just like flipping a coin. What? You don't fucking say. Because of this, it's possible to calculate the average number of successes you will roll on any given task by simply dividing the number of dice in the dice pool by 2. It doesn't work like... I can guarantee you right now, it doesn't work like that in the game. Especially with Roll20. I've had a large amount of dice come up all failures in this game. Because that's just how the fucking system works. So you divide it by 2. The result is the number of successes you will roll on average. While it is possible to roll more or fewer successes than this number, it represents a degree of skill that your character exhibits without really putting any effort into performing the task. For example, a dice pool of 6 will net you 3 successes on average, meaning your character can handle relatively tough situations without breaking a sweat. If the average number of successes for a given dice pool is greater than or equal to the difficulty of the task, your character is assumed to have succeeded with minimal effort without rolling all the dice. This allows the game master to move a story along without slowing down to see if your character succeeds at a relatively simple task. As a result, you only roll dice in dramatic situations or when the chance of success is uncertain, aka doing your fucking job as a GM. Like, it's... If I have to lockpick something, right? And let's say I have a chest, right? And there is no threat to me other than the fact that time will be wasted. And time, I have time in large amounts, right? Like, we're on a boat or something like that, and I have months to pick this fucking chest. What should happen is a bunch of rolls determining the exact amount of time that I spend on it, not whether or not I can open it, because I can open it. I know how to lockpick, right? I'm a PC in a role-playing game. That shit is determined by nature. What isn't determined is how fucking long it takes. So, if I'm in a situation where... And this is why I really like the 7 Seas role-playing game. Because you roll, you determine your risks, and your raises, and you only spend raises on things that you need to spend them on. You don't spend them on things like, I need to pick up that sword on the ground. Well, it doesn't cost you anything to pick up a sword. It's not risky for you to pick up a sword, so you pick it up. What else do you do? You know, like, it's a perfect system. I love it. I think it's a great system. And in this one, if it was, you know, like this system here, it makes a lot more sense, right? The example I give here, Alex has a stealth rating of 6, taking the average of his dice pool, net to 3 successes. He won't need to make a stealth roll for any stealth task with a difficulty of 3 or less. Okay, that's all well and good, but you're still rolling a 50-50, so I don't know, rolling 50-50 sucks. We're still going to go with a new dice system. We're just not going to take the average. Taking the average is not an applicable way to play this game. If you're being stealthy in a situation, then it really comes down to how attentive your opponents are, not how blasé your skill is because you have X amount of dice in it. Like, that makes no sense. Taking the average of odd numbers. What? That's the same. Oh, I see. It's divided down. Okay. If you have 5 dice instead of 6, right? So he just rolls 1 die. What the fuck is the point of that? If you if you just roll 1 dice, it's the same as rolling 6 dice in this fucking game. Anyway, fine. No taking the average. No taking average. Alright. Alright. Roll dice. Roll your dice. Count the number of successes. Got it. Resolve action. Compare the number of successes versus the difficulty of the task. If the number of successes equal or exceeds the difficulty, then the action is successful. If the number of successes is less than the difficulty, the action fails. But the way that it's going to work in this new dice system is we're going to set the difficulty based on the dice. So it starts at 4, goes up to 10. So if you roll higher than, if it's a standard difficulty, if it's an easy attempt, if it's an easy task, it starts at 4. So, where was it? It was, yeah, so that'd be 4, 5, 6. So normal World of Darkness dice are set to tough difficulty in this game. And most things will either be average or tough. So 5 or 6 on the difficulty dice pool. Makes sense to me. Makes perfect sense to me. No problems there. And that's pretty much that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the other stuff that they have here. Okay, time. Time is fluid in role-playing games, much like a book or movie. One thing is certain. Time will rarely, if ever, pass in real time. How the game master controls time or pace of the story goes. He can gloss over unimportant details or slow down time in critical moments. Oh my god. There are 6 basic units of time. They represent everything from a few seconds to an entire lifetime or longer. When put together, they allow the game master to... combat turn. The shortest increment of time, a combat turn, is approximately 6 seconds long. It represents the amount of time it takes for a character to move and perform a single action, called a standard action. Combat turns are often packed with actions, with all characters involved trying to do something within a short time frame. The standard increment of time, a scene generally encompasses a single event in one specific location. A scene may include several combat turns run in real time, or even jump back and forth between 2. The game master may even fast forward through parts of the scene, but moving locations or starting a new event generally signals a new scene. Okay. Really? They have a game session listed as a segment of time? What the fuck? Okay. What? Why do they put this in here? Anyway, whatever. Actions. This is what we need. There are 4 types of actions. Some of these things characters can try to accomplish can be done fairly quickly, while others may take time to accomplish correctly. Other times, an action can happen in the blink of an eye and take no time at all. However, time is not the only thing that distinguishes different kinds of action. A character may or may not have someone trying to stop her from completing her task. Each type of action is resolved in a slightly different way. Okay, standard actions are straightforward and can be resolved relatively quickly without any opposition. Shooting a gun, jumping across a chasm, and picking a lock are all examples of standard actions. Basically, anything that can be resolved with a single dice roll using a combat turn is considered a standard action. Standard actions are resolved with a standard skill or attribute roll. If the number of successes rolls meet or exceed the difficulty, then the action is successful. If the player rolled fewer successes, then the action fails. It's as simple as that. Okay. Okay. Extended actions. Not every action can be accomplished immediately. Some take time to complete, such as deciphering an ancient tome, repairing a vehicle, or climbing a mountain. These are called extended actions. In general, anything that requires more than one dice roll to accomplish, or takes more than one combat turn, is considered an extended action. Extended actions are resolved with extended skill attribute rolls. The Game Master determines the total number of successes required to complete an extended action, typically between 5 and 10. Whoa, okay. Depending on the amount of effort required to complete the task. He also determined 5 to 10 rolls? Dude, I was thinking like 3 maybe. Depending on the amount of effort required to complete the task, he also determines how much time passes with each dice roll. Just like a standard action, an extended action has a difficulty rating. Success is in excess of the difficulty count towards the total needed to complete the task. If fewer successes are rolled than the difficulty, they are subtracted from the total number of accumulated successes. If fewer successes are rolled than the difficulty, they are subtracted from the total number of accumulated successes. This illustrates that some tasks are harder and more complex than others, and thus takes more time and expertise to complete. If a player's average number of successes exceed the difficulty rating of the task, his character will automatically complete the task over a certain amount of time. Taking the average is a dumb rule. Once the player has accumulated the necessary number of successes, the task is complete. Until that time, the players must keep rolling dice until the extended action is complete. Her character abandons the task. Depending on the nature of the task, the Game Master may allow the player to keep the number of accumulated blah blah blah. Jesus fucking Christ. Clay's character is trying to decipher an ancient text. It's a fairly long book, so it's going to take him a long time to translate it. The game also determines that deciphering the text requires an extended linguistics roll with a difficulty rating of 3 because it's written in a dead language. Each roll represents 1 hour of work. Clay will need to accumulate 10 successes in order for his character to complete the translation. Clay makes an extended linguistic rolls and gets 4 successes, subtracting the difficulty rating of 3. He accumulates 1 success. Okay, yep. On his next roll, Clay only gets 3 successes, which means his character hasn't made any progress during that hour of work. But he still has the 1 success banked from his first roll. On his third roll, Clay gets 5 successes, which accumulates 2 more successes, for a grand total of 3. After 3 hours work. Okay. Well, okay, see, this is what I don't understand about this book. On one hand, it's like, well, we don't want people to make unnecessary rolls. And then on this hand, they're like, extended actions, man. Fucking get ready to roll. Like, it kind of just goes against itself a little bit. If I'm going to do extended actions, it's going to be, okay, Say you need to repair a car, right? You have some downtime, repair a car, some extended action. It's going to take you a little bit of time. So let's say the difficulty is 5, and you use your mechanics dice, and you will need to accumulate a total of 5 successes. And each time you roll all of your dice, it counts as an hour. So you could get it within the first hour. It could take you 3 hours, right? But the idea being it just determines the amount of time it takes. Not that you can fail, right? Because the idea that someone can fail is absolutely fucking baffling to me. Like, if it's something you can do safely, right? It's not like it's Cthulhu-based fucking like linguistics roll, unless it is. In which case, you shouldn't be able to fucking not fail that. Like, anyway, you get what I'm saying. All right, let's write this down then. Actions. Each success roll. Okay, easy. Each extended action difficulty is the same as new dice. Each success counts to total. Each roll represents X amount of time. Perfect. Easy. Opposed action. Occasionally, 2 characters will compete with each other to accomplish a task. One may actively try to prevent the other from completing a task at all. For example, 2 characters may be trying to grab the same weapon, or one may be trying to punch the other. In these cases, opposed rolls are made to determine who prevails. Both standard and extended actions may be opposed by another character. Opposed actions are resolved with opposed skill or attribute rolls. The player who rolls the most successes wins. If 2 players roll the same number of successes, neither character is considered the victor. If they were both trying to grab the same weapon, for example, they would both end up with a hand on it and must attempt to wrest it away from the other character. In situations where one character is clearly the defender, e.g. when one character is trying not to get hit, a tied roll means the blow landed? Whoa, really? But without enough force to do any damage. Roger. These are like the classic near misses from television and film where the bullet or knife passes through a piece of clothing and only nicks the character. Ah, sweet. An instance where the 2 more characters are racing each other to get to a goal, such as climbing to the top of a mountain, the first player to roll the required number of successes wins. If both players exceed the required number of successes, then the one with the most successes wins. If both players roll the required number of successes simultaneously, their characters reach the goal at the same time. Okay, reflexive actions. Some actions take no time at all to resolve. They happen instantaneously and don't require any thought on behalf of the character. Reflexive action often happens instinctively, such as trying to grab a handhold before falling or resisting the effects of a poison. Since reflexive actions don't require any time or attention, they normally do not incur multiple action penalties or count towards a character's action for the turn. Oh, that's cool. By their very nature, reflexive actions are variants of opposed actions. Resisting a character who is trying to make your character do something unpleasant is a reflexive action. Reflexive actions are resolved with a reflex skill or attribute roll. If the number of successes rolled meets or exceeds the difficulty, the action succeeds. If the reflexive roll is opposed, the character with the most successes wins. Ties go to defending character. Amazon Princess is trying to seduce Stefan's character. She rolls her con rating and then gets 3 successes. Stefan makes a reflexive willpower roll and gets 4 successes. His character is not swayed by the Amazon's advances. He tells those you have to find someone else to be the fall guy. Alright. Okay. Now let's look at the dice pool. Okay, skills cover most actions, blah blah. I've already read this one. Skill specializations that apply to a particular action increase the skill rating used to calculate the pool. Okay. Okay. All right. Resolving actions. Okay. Degrees of success. Compare the number of successes achieved, gained by rolling the dice and taking the average, to the difficulty rating of the action being attempted. The result of the comparison is called degrees of success. If the number of successes equals or exceeds the difficulty, the action is successful, and the number of additional successes determines how masterfully the action is accomplished. On the other hand, if the number of successes achieved is less than the difficulty, the action fails, and the difference between the two determines dismally how the action fails. So it's just normal. Amazing success is +5. The degrees of success is usually roleplay. The character receives more information than she normally would. For example, a task is completed in less time than usual. Alternatively, a failure is even more spectacular, resulting in false information, or possibly enough of an error to prevent retrying the action. Interesting. In combat, the result is even clearer. Extra successes results in additional damage to the target, and insufficient successes result in a clean miss. The difficulty in hitting the target, takes into account the opponent's reflexes and toughness. Therefore, not all misses are clean misses. Some attacks hit the target and only slide off the armor, catching clothing, do not land hard enough to do damage. Okay. If your character fails to roll even one success on his dice, he suffers a critical failure. Interesting. Whenever this occurs, something bad happens to the character. He falls down, jams his weapon, or leaves himself open to attack. In general, the higher difficulty rating of the task being attempted, the worse it is for the blundering character. See, this is where it might get a little sticky, because if we're adding in difficulty to the actual dice required, then it can't be a critical failure. Simply, so if it's like, if we're making it tough, for example, like a D6, then it would be a critical failure. Like, I can see why the WOD system adds a -1 take away a success. What system is this? It's a Hollow Earth Expedition, but we're currently trying to, or attempting to, fix the 50-50 dice mechanic in the system for something along the lines of World of Darkness. So, this is interesting. How are we going to handle critical failures? Because we need to have critical failures in the game. Hmm. That's an interesting conundrum. I didn't really think about that. So if we change the difficulty of the dice appropriate, so if we change the difficulty, if we set it to 6, so it's 40%, and the difficulty is the number of successes that we need. Then if they roll the 0 successes on the dice, then that counts as a failure. So that system still works if we just change it from a 50-50 to a 60-40, and it would still feel better. But that's a conundrum. I really like the idea of being able to set the difficulty of the dice on the fly, but the critical failure is a bit of a problem. How would we handle that? So the other option is that we could make it more like WOD and say that ones remove successes. If we do that, though, that makes the game significantly harder. Fuck, that's critical failure. So all right. Oh, let's finish reading this because I actually have some more in here. Whenever this occurs, something bad happens to the character. He falls down, jams his weapon, and leaves himself open to attack. In general, the higher the difficulty rating of the task being attempted, the worse the blunder for the blundering character. Therefore, a critical failure on an easy task is not as bad as one made while attempting a very hard task. Oh, okay. So maybe we don't need to change it. Maybe if someone attempts to do something that's stupidly impossible, aka they need 8 or higher on a roll, which is very difficult, that would mean that a failure represents a much higher. If they get 0 successes on it, then that's a critical failure. The line's very thin between critical failure and failure then, because they only need 1 success. Hey, what up, Silver? How you doing? That's interesting. That's interesting. We'll have to think about this and see how it works in the game. So, critical failures. That's something that we don't really have an idea on right now. Critical failures. Because like if you get 1 success, it's counted as a success on a standard roll. Yeah, that's so fucking. This is where it gets like the murky part of the game because it relies on a 50-50 dice mechanic, the entire system. They can just assume a lot of things, and if we start to make it more complicated, it gets more difficult. But having a critical failure is the same as a normal failure in my eyes. Like if you try and shoot someone, right, and you get 0 successes, and they get 4. That's a critical failure on your end. But if you say you're trying to drive fast, no, not drive fast. Let's say you're trying to pick a lock, right? Where there's no other instances of people coming in and doing things to you. If you're trying to pick a lock, then a critical failure would mean that the lock is like, you know, jammed or something, and you can't. Basically, you just can't make that attempt again. But a failure doesn't necessarily mean that. So how do you differentiate between the two in the system? Normally, like not getting enough successes, aka let's say it's 3 difficulty, you need 3 successes on a 50-50 chance, and you get 2 successes. It just means that you don't pass. But if you get no successes when you attempt a 3 difficulty, aka you need 3 successes, check, it means you critically fail. So how do we differentiate between our system and their system? What if a critical failure is you don't succeed and like you fail and there's a 1 rolled? Like say, but then that, oh man, that doesn't make sense either. Like, because then it like you punish a player for having more dice by that way. Or it should be the opposite. Yeah, that's a conundrum. That's one hell of a conundrum. This is the only stopping point we've gotten to so far is critical failures. That is an interesting problem. Because 1s represent a critical failure in the World of Darkness system, but 1s take away successes at the same time. Yes, I removed your mod status silver. I just sort of cleaned up all the mods that don't do anything in the game in the chat. So, shit, it's interesting. So if we go with a WOD system where 1s take away from the successes, but then we also lower the difficulty of the dice to begin with, that's not a bad. We could try it. We could try it. We could try it. This let's just put an asterisk next to this rule here. 10s and 1s do nothing unless there's a political trait. All right, let's try it. Oh really? Have you? I haven't seen that. Okay, where have you been lately anyway, man? I haven't seen you in a while, except for the last couple of streams. Okay, so critical failures. Rolling a 1. Removes a success. I mean, it kind of works well in World of Darkness, but the difficulty is significantly lowered in this one as well. So maybe you'll see a lot better. Ones. Ones remove a success. Rolling a 1 and no successes. Ooh, that's awesome, man. I'll tell you what, I'm happy to give it back if you hang around and stuff and help out. So yeah. All right. So 10s do nothing unless there's applicable trait. All right, let's just leave that at that. 1s remove a success. Also like the idea that specializations in this game don't give additional dice, but a 10 will give you an extra success. Just like World of Darkness. That's not a bad thing. And a second success means sometimes Feral isn't around, sometimes she is, so it's really early. She has actually got like a life. So alright, okay. Alright. Trying again. If your character fails a task, he may be able to try again depending on the circumstances around the task. Whenever your character attempts the action that he initially failed, you suffer a -2 penalty dice to your dice pool. Trying again increases difficulty. Not. Okay. Alright, star points. Arguably the most important resource in the game. Star points may be spent to give your character a boost and allow him to perform extraordinary feats. You can buy dice, reduce damage, and even boost your character's talents with star points. They may also be spent to help your character's friends and allies. Star points are used to reward players for the kind of behavior that makes the game more fun for everyone involved. The more things you do to benefit the game, the more effective your character will be, and the more fun it is for everyone involved. Earning star points. The Game Master may award star points as he sees fit. However, star points are normally earned through role-playing and other activities that generally benefit the game. Star points are usually awarded throughout the game, but may be given out at the end of the game session, just like experience points. You may earn star points during play for a variety of different reasons. Pursuing your character's motivation, succumbing to your character's flaw, in character, role-playing humor, etc. Out of character. Miscellaneous, hosting a game, bringing treats. Bribing the GM. There's no limit to the number of star points you can earn during play. However, to keep it from getting out of hand, game masters may limit you to earning 5 points per session. Okay, star points can be spent on a variety of benefits. Bonus dice. The most common use for star points is purchasing bonus dice for a particular action. You receive 1 bonus dice for every style point spent. These bonus dice are only good for a single dice roll, after which they are gone. Additional style points have been spent to get bonus. Additional star points have to be spent to get bonus dice on another roll. Bonus dice may also be purchased to improve the average of your dice pool. Okay. So her for the Happy Death Day movie? Yeah, it does look pretty good. I'm interested to see the new Jackie Chan movie, to be honest with you. Okay. Boosting talents. Talents may temporarily be boosted with style points. Your character's talent is improved by 1 level for every 2 style points spent. The improvement lasts for the duration of entire combat or an entire scene if it is a non-combat talent. After this time, the talent reverts back to its normal level. Your character must have a talent in order to boost it. You cannot boost a unique talent or improve a standard talent beyond its maximum level. Cool. Damage reduction. Damage inflicted on your characters may be reduced for style points. Your character takes 1 less point of damage for every 2 style points spent. What the fuck? That's so expensive. This represents your character's special status as a player character. Even an absent-minded professor can blunder through combat with nary scratch. Major villains may also have style points, making them just as hard to kill as the players. Okay. Style points may only be spent to reduce damage when it is inflicted. If the Game Master allows it, however, you may spend style points to reduce the damage later, representing a less severe wound or faster healing ability. Spending style points is considered a reflexive action. Style points always belong to the player character. Earn them. They may never be given away or traded to another character. I love this. It says you can't share style points. Then right here it says game masters may also wish to limit the sharing of style points with other characters. So stupid. Yeah, what if you need more points? More dice, but you've run out of star points. Desperate times call for desperate measures. This is where chance die come into play. When the odds are against you, you take an even bigger risk in order to succeed. From some extra dice to roll, you can always ask the Game Master for a chance dice. You may do this at any time, not just when you're out of star points. In fact, you may spend star points and get a chance dice on the same roll. For each 2 bonus dice you receive, the difficulty of your character's task is increased by 1 point. You may gain up to 10 bonus dice in this manner, which also increases the difficulty rating of the task by 5 points. So you can get 1 bonus dice without increasing the difficulty? That seems fucking stupid. Why wouldn't I always get a bonus dice then? Like, what would stop me from just saying, like, okay, I get 1 bonus dice for free because of chance dice, but until I take another one, I don't get a second. That seems super weird. When you roll more dice, you also roll more successes. Yeah. You also need to roll more successes in order to succeed. Okay. Chance dice are dumb. Really dumb. Okay. Gaining experience points. Awards experience points to the character each session. Players write down how many experience points the character has. Between 1 and 5 experience points per game session. On average, characters should earn about 3 experience points per game session. Okay. Huh. Okay, that's cool. So, I need to understand, okay. So, the last thing we need to look at, really, I guess, is kind of just like combat stuff. I don't see it being like super difficult in combat, but we'll see. Roll initiative. Okay. Combat actions. Character may attack, defend, and move each turn. Declare a character's attack action. Determine the skill attribute required to resolve it. Defense actions are reflexive. Do not need to be declared. Move actions must be declared. Do not require dice rolls. First attacker calculates his rating. Includes appropriate modifiers. Then rolls the modified dice pool. The defender calculates his defense rating, including any appropriate modifiers. She rolls her modified dice pool, compares the number of successes against her opponent's attack roll. If the attacker rolls more successes than his opponent's, his attack is successful. Each success inflicts 1 point of damage. If the attacker rolls fewer successes than the defender, his attack missed. If both characters roll the same number of successes, the attacker narrowly misses or strikes the defender without doing any damage. The attack inflicts damage. Mark off the appropriate number of health levels and resolve any additional damage effect, such as stun or knockback. If the character is reduced to negative health, he falls unconscious. If he is reduced to negative 5 health, he dies. After the damage is resolved, return to step 3, go on. Okay. Character with the highest dexterity rating is first. What do you actually roll? Okay, so you can do just about everything that you'd want. Interesting. They have continuous combat. Final result represented the phase during which the character's action is resolved. Subsequent actions are calculated in the same way, then add to the same previous total. Oh, cool. This is just like the cyberpunk style. That seems really complicated, but sure. Okay. When firing an automatic weapon, your character may make either a burst fire, full auto fire, or strafing attack. Character fires 3 bullets at the single target, gains a +1 auto fire bonus to his attack roll. Okay. When your character may strafe his fire across multiple targets when making a full auto attack. Suffers a -2 penalty for each 5-foot distance between the 2 targets. Interesting. Automatic weapons can't be aimed. That's good to know. Okay, so there's a bunch. I'll need to look into this a bit more before we get started. Maybe there's a cheat sheet for this or something like that. Yep. There's a lot in here. But I imagine there would be. This is why this game is good, because they actually have like if you wanted to go into combat, you actually have things to do. Like, for example, parry. Instead of making an attack, your character attempts to parry all melee attacks made against him. You must have a shield and must be holding an appropriate weapon. If you roll more successes than she does, the strike is parried and does no damage. Then your character takes damage equal to the number of successes she rolled. Your character may insert a number of rounds equal to his dexterity rating each time he performs this move. Wow, that's interesting. So like if you have 3 dexterity and you try to reload a revolver, you can only put 3 bullets in a round. That's fucking weird. That is so weird. Oh, that's kind of cool picture. Sitting on top of a T-Rex and blasting through his head. But that only blasts through his mouth. Why wouldn't you go through his skull where his brain is? That's super weird. If you're a smaller character, it's easier for you to hit things. That's weird. Well, that's kind of cool. You can like get their weapon range, and if it's if their people are 2 times away from their range, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. All right. I don't think we need to go into too much detail about the defense rate, like all the defense rating and stuff. I just wanted to make sure that changing this, changing the dice over makes no, like, it doesn't fuck up the mechanics too much. But it doesn't look like it does. Because in combat, it's pretty much versus, right? So you're versing someone else's, defense. And what you could do in order to make it like to simulate it being the same as the normal game, you can always make it that the difficulty to hit is always 5. So it resets back to the 50-50 status that I had before. Well, maybe we can remove the... because one's removing a success would mean that in combat you fail a lot more too. So if we remove that and just have it so that critical failures, when you roll a 1 and no successes, it's counted as a critical failure. Yeah, okay, let's do that. That's easier. That way we don't have to worry about... Great, perfect, easy. We've got this. All right. Perfect, perfect, perfect. There's one other thing that I wanted to look at real quick. Each skill is based on an attribute that represents your character's natural ability with a particular skill. Okay, so it does include the both. Right. I see, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so so if you had so, what do you guys think about, like, I'm toying with the idea of having like specializations in this game, because right now basically if you get specializations you just get an extra 2 dice. I mean, in a 50-50 setting it didn't really mean a whole lot, but I'm thinking specializations, right? Because right now, basically, if you specialize in a skill, you get... okay, so you may use the experience points during play to purchase additional specializations in a skill. In fact, you may choose to purchase the same skill specialization more than once, giving your character greater expertise in a specified area. If your character has an advanced skill specialization, you will receive additional bonus dice up to a maximum of 5 for each time a specialization is called into play. For example, if your character already has a skill specialization in rifles, purchasing rifles again would give your character a +2. Every time he uses a rifle in combat, he will get 2 bonus dice in his firearm rolls. So what I'm thinking is the first level of skill specializations would make it so that D10s, like when you roll a 10 on a D10, it counts as an additional success. So instead of getting an extra dice out of it, your 10s will explode. So that's what I'm thinking. But let's take a look at the actual book here. Specialized skill. Wonder if I can change this. See, we don't need average anymore. Average is very annoying. I'm gonna have to talk to Chip to see if we can change this. Because I want to be able to like make it so that people can just roll the dice here, because that'd be fucking awesome. So when you click this, it asks for the difficulty. So I'm thinking attribute. So if you're firearms is dexterity, so that'd be 4. And what's rating? Let's look that up. More importantly, they determine the number of dice used when you're making a skill roll. Adding a number of skill levels to the appropriate base rating. Okay. So hold up. You have the base attribute, which represents the primary attribute. The level, which goes from 1 through 5. Okay. Oh, I see. What the? I don't understand the difference between skill rating and skill levels, though. Okay. I don't. Each skill is based on attribute it represents. Okay. Your character's skill rating is calculated by adding a number of skill levels appropriate to the base rating. I don't understand what the fuck skill levels are. I'm sitting here just trying to wrap my mind around it. I don't remember what the fuck skill levels are. Holy shit. I'm gonna have to ask Wreckage about this. Because I want to see if he remembers. When you build skills, do the following. Base attributes plus skill level plus skill rating. Let me remember what skill level. Alright, let's see if I can copy this. I honestly can't remember what the fuck this thing is. It's really annoying. It's so weird that they have two of the same fucking things for skills. So, alright. What up, Flan Flan? How you doing, man? What is the fucking rating? So I thought it was your base attribute and then your level in it, but they also have like an extra thing here, and I'm not entirely sure what this is for. Why did it only roll 2 dice there? It only rolled 2 dice there. So your rating is what comes into play. What the fuck, game? Okay, so your skill level. I don't understand. I understand the skill rating. Between 0 and 10. Okay. I get that. That's skill rating. That's easy. But what the fuck is skill level? Amount of effort your character has put into learning the skill, either through formal education or hands-on experience. Your character's skill rating is calculated by adding a number of skill levels. Am I just having a fucking, like, brain fart? Or am I, like... I don't know what's happening. Either through formal education or hands-on experience, your character's skill rating is calculated by adding a number of skill levels appropriate to the base rating. What is the point? What is the fucking point? What is the point? You may not purchase more than 5 skill levels in any one skill during character creation, but additional skill levels may be purchased with experience points during play. What the fuck? What, the stream was freezing for you? Why was it doing that? Okay, I'm really fucking confused about that, but I think it's all fine. pretty sure. Is this like the only thing I can think of is like this is trying to like simulate, okay, as someone with dexterity 4 you can only go up to base attribute plus 4, so you can only go up to level 8. Is that what this is? Is that what this is? Because I don't... I see. I don't understand. I'm having a hard fucking time understanding what the fuck this is. Oh my god. It must be like... Maybe I'm drunk or something. I don't know. This has 0 alcohol in it, so I shouldn't be drunk. Oh. No idea. Okay, well, I don't understand this at all. Skill levels. Well, I don't know. Anyway, I think we've established that the dice system works pretty well in the system. I would like to see how this works. So hang on. You've got your base level, which I thought was... Let's take a look at... maybe if we go into... Let's take a look at firearms. Firearms. Uses dexterity. Okay. Great. I was right about that. Go down to firearms. Okay, yep. Okay, skill rating. Okay. You can specialize and you have skill rating, but they don't have anything about skill level here. Again, I'm not entirely sure what the fuck skill level is, so there's that. Represent the amount of effort. Character skill rating is calculated by adding a number of skill levels to the appropriate base rating. It doesn't give you anything though. It's never mentioned anywhere else in the game. Like, that's the only place that is actually mentioned. Is there one in here called skills? Nope. I have no idea what the fuck, I have no idea what the fuck skill levels are. Like, they just mention it, and it's just like, boom, done, dead. Yeah, the bot isn't up right now. I need to restart the streaming PC. Oh fuck, I have no idea. That is so weird. So weird. I don't think there's anything in here that stops us from having extra dice. So if we take a look at the other stuff in here. Oh, we should take a look at the floors. Make sure there's nothing there. Yeah, Twitch is weird about that sort of shit. I don't know why. Should be up and running though. Alright, let's take a look at the floors. Just need to make sure there's no flaws or anything like that. Or abilities that prevent lethal damage with roll. Nope. It just says your skill level is your base level plus your rating in skill levels. I'm like, but what is skill level used for? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Makes no sense to me. I've asked for some clarification from some other people I've known who've played this game, so okay. Yeah, but they specifically have it in the character creation, in the where's floors? There we go. They have it specifically in the character sheet. So okay. Doesn't look like there's anything in here that would stop us. Okay, great, perfect. Alrighty. I guess that pretty much solves all of our stuff. So let's go over the new dice mechanic that we have, or old dice mechanic. So we're taking the 50-50 system that they have in Hollow Earth Expedition, changing it to the World of Darkness D10 system. with some slight variations. The first variation is the default difficulty is 4, and that allows me to scale from 4 all the way up to 10, depending on the difficulty that they're attempting to do something in. 10s and 1s do nothing unless there is applicable traits / specializations. Each success over the first encounter greater results. The current system is XD10 greater than 4. Modifiers, time, equipment, circumstances, all add / remove dice from the pool. There is no taking the average, it's been completely removed. Extended actions, difficulty is the same as new dice. Each same as the new dice system. Each success counts to total. Each roll represents X amount of time. Total needed. Critical failures. Critical failure is rolling a 1 with no successes. Trying again increases the difficulty. Not removing dice from the pool. Misspelled system, I did. Oh, yeah. And what are they called? Specialization. Level 1. Explodes 10. Result 10. Specialization level 2. Reduces difficulty by 1 step. So, for example, if it's a a tough one, which is 6, which is the standard World of Darkness system, and you have a specialization in it, it'll reduce it to 5, meaning that you can succeed more often than not. And that's pretty much the changes that we're making in terms of the system mechanics. There might be a few others as we play. But I think this is a pretty good change to the system. I'm not a big fan of the 50-50 mechanic that they had, so this is pretty nice. Alright guys, thank you very much for joining us for this look into the next game from Die Party. We played this before, so if you want to go check out what the 50-50 system was actually like, you can definitely do that by going over to the YouTube channel and finding the game called Die Party Hollowworth Expedition. Super original, I know. But this was back during the time when we didn't have cameras on the system, which was... It was an interesting time. I thought it would be the way to go, but... I prefer being able to see people's faces, you know. It adds a lot to it. The biggest grab that we had was just that people, like, you didn't feel like you were talented. You know, like, you didn't feel talented in a system. Which was really, really dumb. Like, you know, if you wanted to make something, like, I can see why, in this game, taking the average is how you assume someone is good at something. So if you have 6 dice, you can go up to medium difficulty worth of being able to just hand wave, right? But in the game that I played, at least when Wreckage was GMing, a lot of the difficult tasks were 4 and above, so you needed 8 dice in a thing in order to be applicable at it. So it didn't really allow the GM to like appropriate the amount of because it's like, so the other problem that we solved by doing this is that a GM can now set a difficulty that's a little bit more appropriate, in that the system, like in order to get a much more difficult result, you can't really put a difficulty on 50-50 because it's literally 50-50. 50% of the chance you're going to succeed and 50% of the time you're not. It's dumb. Like, it didn't really, there's no skill in it. Like, if I specialize in firearms, I'm not becoming better at firearms. In fact, I'm getting worse at firearms. I'm not getting worse at firearms, I just have a higher chance of failing as I do succeeding. It makes no fucking sense. This alleviates that. This alleviates that at all. So, with that in mind, next week we might have another look at this game, or at least because this is going to be leading up to this system. So I want to go through and make a couple of cheat sheets for myself, which is what I normally do with role-playing games. I make cheat sheets because I don't want to always be looking at shit. And maybe then we'll have an answer as to what the fuck skill levels are, because I honestly don't remember that. I don't remember that shit at all. So making a cheat sheet would be a good step. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game for sure. With that in mind, after the next week's episode, we're probably going to open up the Patreon support for this game. We're going to be looking for the Patreons to help create bad guys, villains, world stuff, because it's basically Hollow Earth. Like, you can have fucking dinosaurs running around in Hollow Earth. Like, there's no problems there whatsoever. You'd just be as good as firearms as a novice. Exactly, right? Like, you have a 50-50 chance of hitting your target. It was really dumb. It was incredibly frustrating to anyone, like to me, who, like, I was relatively baby at that time, but it was incredibly frustrating to play that game. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Next Tuesday we're gonna have another drawing board episode on Hollow Earth. We'll go into detail about the system, create a few cheat sheets. I'll show you guys how I do that. I create a cheat sheet for character creation, for combat, all that sort of stuff, so that, you know, when I run the game, I can just look at a step-by-step guide as to how to do something, because not every game is the same, right? And sometimes doing it for one game, like Cyberpunk, is very different from doing it from another. So guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to get out of your hair. Have a good night, and I'll see you for the daily stream. Peace.